Alright, what's up YouTube? It's your boy. I'm back and with a different car. So, pretty much on my first video ever, right? I showed you guys how to do how to flush your transmission fluid, manual transmission fluid on the Honda Civic Si. So I sold that car and now I ended up picking up this 2017 Honda Accord V6. And car's in really good condition, but I do need to do front and rear brake pads. So I ended up getting some brake pads and brake discs from a company called PowerStop that I used on the Civic. And yeah, I mean, I really like them, so I'm gonna end up using that for these. Same company. So let me show you guys the parts and I'm gonna show you guys how to do it. And it's gonna be a full walkthrough. I'm gonna do the front and the back. Right here I got my gloves on, I'm ready to get dirty, got the car lifted already. And I just need to put some jack stands. So I'll do that and then I'll cut to the part, me showing you the parts. And yeah, it should be pretty easy. So let's do it together, guys. Alright guys, so today I'm gonna go in depth on how to replace your front brakes on your 2013 through 2017 Honda Accord. So this example, this is EXL. So this is gonna have an 11.5 inch rotor. And then as for the 2016 Sports and 17 Sports and V6 Tourings, it's also gonna be a 12.3 rotor. So I mean, all the same applies. So pretty much what you're gonna need is, I'm gonna use an impact, but you're gonna need a 19mm socket to break loose the lug nuts. So I'm gonna do that real quick. Alright, come over here. Alright, so pretty much what you're gonna need to do right here is get a vice grip or a wrench to grab onto this little sliding pin right here so you can break loose these 14mm bolts. There's one here and then there's one at the bottom. Alright, so pretty much what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach my vice grip right here. Oh shoot, alright. And then I'm gonna break it loose with a 14mm socket. Alright, so that's one side. I'm gonna leave the threads a little bit. I'm gonna leave some threads on there so I can take off the other side. So now I'm gonna grab it from down here, same story. Put the vice grips and then break loose the 14mm, and then this is gonna release your caliper. Hold on, let me do it from this way. All right. So that's one, and then that's two. You can release your vice grips. All right, and then that's gonna release your caliper here, your piston. And then just put this out of the way. You don't wanna nick your brake line, so I'm gonna just have it kind of right here. And then you can take off your brake pads. You can see mine were pretty low. So I'm gonna put these gone. And then in order to take off the caliper bracket, you're gonna need a 17mm, two 17mm bolts right here in the back. So you could take that off with a 1/2 inch. Let's see. Just get the one at the bottom and then break it loose. Oh shoot. Oh, all right. That was freaking tight. Oh shit. Oh dang. All right. So once you have those loose, I'm gonna take it off with my 3/8 ratchet. And then that's one. And that's two. And then now you can take off your caliper bracket right here. And it's pretty much all this holds in these two sliding pins that you need to grease up. So you're just gonna take them off these little dust boots, re-grease them, and then switch up the hardware. And this is where your brake pads sit. So I'll pan over to me cleaning these. Alright guys, so I took off, I loosened up these dust boots, these sliding pins from the dust boots, and then all you gotta do is re-grease them with some brake and caliper grease. Just take them out, and then all you do is re-grease them, and then you can just slide them back in. That's pretty much it for these. And then the reason you do this is so when the piston compresses, this is able to, and then when you release the brake, it's able to release smoothly. So this is greased up, and then, oh shoot, this one isn't. You see how, look at that. That's smooth, and then this one's a little slower. See that? So you always want to re-grease these after every brake job. I'm gonna take this off. So now you guys saw the difference on why you guys gotta do this. And then if they're not greased up, they can actually seize, and then it can cause your brake pad to be constantly touching your rotor, and then that's gonna cause bad gas mileage and premature brake pad wear. So push that in. You can give them a couple squeezes, and then that's it. And then in order to take off the rotor, we have one bolt here. I'm gonna use an impact screwdriver with a Phillips head to take that off. So this is an impact screwdriver. I'm gonna hit this with this fucking wrench, and then that should break it loose. That's gonna be hard. I get it? Nope. Alright, cut. Alright guys, so you have to smack it a couple times, really freaking hard, but it does come loose eventually. And you know, I feel bad for you guys that, you know, live where it snows and you have to deal with the rust and the salt, because that was hard, even though it's not rusted, but that was still real hard. So pretty much that's it. It's held on by one bolt, and then you can take off your old caliper. And then if you guys want to see the ones that I'm putting, I went with this company from Power Stop. I went with some drilled and slotted rotors, and as you guys can see, it's pretty much it's the same. So you always want to compare your parts to make sure that they fit before you put them on. Alright guys, so pretty much most manufacturers, when they send you out brake pads, they actually coat it with a thin layer of oil. You can't really see or feel it, but it's always recommended to spray it down with some brake clean, and then you can wipe it down with a napkin or a microfiber towel, and then this pretty much just takes off the thin layer of grease, because you don't want any type of grease on your rotors or your pads. So that was it. And then now you can put this brand new rotor in, put it back into the same spot, and do this way. Which way? Is it gonna do it? This way. And then you could put your, where was it? Where did I put it? I gotta spin it the wrong, oh, I gotta spin it. And line it up back with the threads of the bolt that goes in the caliper. So now I'm gonna just thread this on hand tight, because I don't want this to be as hard as it was last time. And don't worry, the rotor is gonna be held on tight once you put the wheel back on. So just hand tight, and then boom, your rotor's on. Now, all we gotta do is put some new hardware. You recording? All right. So pretty much right now what I'm doing is I haven't put the hardware yet, but I should have put too much grease. Pretty much I'm putting a little bit of brake grease under the hardware just to eliminate any possible squeaks or any unwanted noises. So I put it under. That's just something I do. You don't really have to do that, but I just do that just to be extra sure. And then also, but you definitely do want to put it on top. So, because this is where your brake pads slide. So you want the pads to be able to slide freely. So you just put a little bit. I'm putting a lot, but shoot, that's way too much. Just put a little bit. This is where your pads slide. And this also keeps your brake pads from sticking. So, put this in. Okay, kind of sits there, and then you gotta remember put your 217s back on. Let me see. Shoot. So I might catch the threads. All right, so I cut the threads. I'm gonna do the top one. It's super simple, guys. It's just 4 bolts, really. And then I can tighten this with 3/8 ratchet, and then I'm gonna hand tighten it again. I don't really know the spec, but I'm just hand tighten it, get on there real good by hand. Okay. Alright, that's tight enough. So now you put in your brake pads. The one with this little metal piece always goes on the inside of the car because this is your little wear indicator. So this goes on the inside. Let's see. Oh shoot. That's one in. Yep. Second one. Oh, sometimes they're hard. There you go. So now they're in. Alright, so pretty much the second to last final step would be pushing it in your caliper down. So I have this piston press tool, and you put this little adapter. Go. Alright guys, so you guys saw in the time lapse, I just pushed in the piston back. And now all you gotta do is get it seated here, pushing your pads. Oh, actually, one last thing. You always also you want to put a little bit of brake grease where the pad compresses right here. So you also don't want that to squeak, so you put a little bit on the back. So now that's gonna prevent any noises. So now you're pushing your pads. I should just slide right in. Pushing your sliding pins. And then that's it. Get your two 14mm bolts again. Alright, cut threads. And then get the bottom. me get that back on with my 3/8 ratchet. And these weren't too tight, so don't go crazy on these. Just hand tying these. Alright, that's good. And there, you're pretty much done. So that's how you do front rotors, pads and rotors on Honda Accord 2017 through 2013. Alright guys, so I actually did a big mistake. I twisted this 180, so I don't know if you guys can see on the last clip, this brake hose was like all the way inverted and it was like real tight, and that was gonna rupture if you know, if I started driving the car and, you know, doing turns. So good thing I caught myself with that. So just be wary, don't turn this. This only really wants to go in one way. So I just want to comment that, so now I got it on the right way, and your brake line is going to be okay. Alright, so I ended up finished with the front, so now we're going to move on to the rear. So it's the same thing, 4 bolts. The only change is, so instead of what was it, 14 millimeter for the caliper, for the piston, it's going to be 12. So it's going to be two 12s, and then the 17s are going to be the same. So make sure I got this on. Nope, that's tight in. Alright, so now that's loose. Loosen that. Sorry. Loosen that. That's it. So now I have released the piston. So now the rears are a lot harder, so you have to like really shake it out. Come on. Alright guys, so I struggled a little bit, but I was able to take off the piston. So now that was pretty simple. You can take out your brake pads. You can see mine were pretty low. Almost done. You guys, one telltale sign to do your brake pads is once this is a wear indicator, you're gonna start hearing like a little scraping sound. So it's gonna be metal on metal. It's gonna be like a screeching sound almost. So I was just about there. I didn't hear it yet, but I knew I had to get them switched out. So these are OEM Honda, pretty cool. So now you get your 17. You got two 17s to take off the bracket. So make sure. No, that's also tying. Stand up for this. That wasn't too bad. And then for this one, since I have an EXL V6, I have a multi-link suspension. So I got this nut that's in the way right here with the upper control arm. So to fix that, you just put on an extension. So I'm gonna put on an extension, and then you can see that clears it. So now that I got my extension, get that flush, and then you can break it loose by hand. All right, I got that. And save myself some time, I'm gonna use my 3/8 ratchet to take them off. Makes it a lot easier. So there it is, and there goes your bracket. So here are your 4 bolts. The 212s are for your piston, the 217s are for the caliper bracket. So just set those aside. And then now the next step is, if you're switching out your rotors as well, like I am, you are gonna need a Phillips impact screwdriver. So pretty much what that is, I'm gonna push this down and I'm gonna smack the back of this to break loose this bolt. Oops. So this is also gonna take some force. So I recommend a hammer, but I don't have a hammer on hand, so I'm gonna use these big old pliers. No. Alright guys, so I got it loose. I've already done 3 of these. Sorry, my gloves ripped. So it's just a little Phillips bolt that holds in your caliper. So you can also set this aside, and your rotor just comes right off. Give it a smack. Not too. Oh. This one's more rusted. Almost. Alright guys, so I smacked the rotor with the freaking big old pliers. I'm not gonna reuse this rotor, so I mean I wouldn't recommend that really ever if you're gonna keep it, but this one won't come out, so I have to break it loose. It was just a little rusted on. So now oh my god, thank god I checked. I don't check rear pass rear side. Okay. So here's my new rotor. It's also slotted and drilled, and same story like I did with the front. You got to spray it down with brake clean. Oh, that smells good. And then wipe down the grease, the oil that they put on it for shipping. All right, and then I'm gonna line the rotor with this little, where the bolt sits. So do that. So it's pretty much halfway there. So now we're on reassembly. So I'm gonna just hand tighten this so I don't have to worry about it. So there you go, hand tight. And then pretty much the reverse process. Just take that off. Alright, so pretty much always remember to re-grease your sliding pins. Ooh, that thing was dusty. So I'm just right here greasing up my sliding pins. No big deal. Push them back in to where they came from. Give them a couple squeezes. Remember the difference, easy, a lot more stiff. You see that? This is why you have to grease them up. So your brake pads don't stick. In. Alright, so now you're gonna take off your hardware and put new hardware. I always like to grease up right here where my hardware sits, just so I don't hear any squeaking. now, where is it? Put my hardware back on. Alright, come on. There. There. Flip it. There you go. And that's it. Oh, wrong way. Slide your caliper bracket back on. And catch the threads by hand. It's your 17mm bolt. Let's see. Let me get it. What? Alright, I think I cut the threads. And then I'll tie this with my 3/8. Okay, and then go at it with the 1/2 inch. So these were on there pretty tight, so I'm gonna give these a nice tug. That's good. I can take that off. Alright, and then, shoot, I keep forgetting that. To grease up the hardware before I put it on. Alright, greasing up where the brake pads sit. Forgot to do it. Shoot, that's a lot of grease. Alright, and then your final step is pushing in your piston. So I'm gonna use the same little piston press tool that I was using for the fronts. Let's try this out. So the brake pad that has the little bracket right here is gonna go at the bottom. I mean, towards the inside of the car. So this is always gonna be the inner brake pad. So just get in there. There it is. And the outside brake pad isn't gonna have that. So it's the same for both sides. And that just slides right in. Clean up that grease. So I'm gonna spray it down with brake clean after I'm done. And then the last bit of hardware are gonna be these two kind of like C clips that separate the brake pads after you release the brakes. So this just prevents the brake pads from sticking. Right. Oh, that thing wants to slide. Okay, a little bit of grease right here. Oh shoot. Oh shoot, there's so much grease everywhere. Alright, just a little bit right here so it doesn't make a noise. And then you should just put your caliper back on. I squeeze my brake pads and I put the the piston back on. And now to thread on the two 12mm bolts. Okay. Alright guys, so that was it. So that was just a quick tutorial on how to do brake changes on from 2013 to 2017. Things may differ, like the front rotor size might be different from an LX to a Sport to the Touring. So the Touring, remember, so the 2016 2017 Sports and the V6 Tourings share the same front rotor, so everything's a little different. So just make sure you're when you're searching up for brake parts that you're getting the right, you put in the right model, right, the right trim, because that matters. Yeah guys, so I'm really excited to, you know, try these out. I'm not gonna do it in this video because I need to break them in, and honestly I'm pretty tired. So but there's a lot more content to do. So I want to race 2.0T Honda Accord. My girlfriend has a 2.0T, and that might be the next video. So hopefully I win, and if not, we might go on a little cruise and see whose brakes are better. Alright, yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'll give you guys an update on the next video on what do I think about the brakes. I already know they're really good. You know, I had them on the Civic, so that's why I'll just give you guys an update when I upload again. So see you guys till next time. You know, catch you guys in Mexico and all that. Race day.